Hello again. It's Christmas Eve. I just wanted to reflect um, on all those children who have been taken from their families. Some with good reason, others with without such, that won't get the opportunity to talk to their parents on Christmas Day and exchange um, greetings. That's certainly the case with us. This will be our fourth Christmas apart from our younger daughter. Um, yeah, we were afforded 2 hours for a Christmas breakfast on Saturday. Weren't allowed the dignity of a Christmas lunch, and we won't be allowed to talk to her on Christmas Day. Now, of course, the reason for that is it's not consistent with this business model, packaging children up, emotionally sterilizing them, destroying their emotional links to their parents, manufacturing them into cash generative assets. The Aristotle view of humans as human property. Nothing really changes in that respect. She did write us a lovely card. Um, she spoke about the counting down the seconds and the hours in between our meetings. We're only allowed once a month. We previously had um, two meetings a month. This was stamped out. There was never an intention to keep it. We've been told that we're lucky that we see her more than 6 times a year. Such is the cruelty and unethical nature of this trade with private equity. Um, she said that she misses us so much. We of course say that in return, but when we do, we're accused of emotional abuse because it disrupts the trade, as I explained. Um, and it's quite ironic because we've asked for more time, and they keep saying child doesn't want it, child doesn't want it. Yeah, you know the reasons why. I mean, people who this is where I have an issue with social workers, because I think they are set up and manipulated themselves in some ways in this Russian doll model, but they also know what they're doing. Um, and most certainly the legal professionals do as well. Um, she's now in this looked after phase. So this is post trade. Um, what happens here is they don't allocate many resources to that part because most of the resource goes into the procurement of children assets, and securing these long-term care orders makes an awful lot of money for legal professionals. And then when they move into looked after phase, which is, I know, a somewhat generous term, the social worker just performs a night watchman role just to make sure that that emotional attachment doesn't grow, and to keep the trade alive. And that's really where we are. And as I've explained, when people look at the rape gangs or grooming gangs, as the government call it, with what looks like their whitewash in motion to do it, I think we'll probably have to lean more on Rupert Lowe to get to the truth. Although I imagine the media will be tasked with discrediting his work. That was all post trade looked after. I know that'd be an insult to the victims, so I don't use it in that way. That's what it's called. At that stage, it's really just keeping the trade alive. Nobody really cares about the welfare of the child and so on. Because it's very clear in her card to us, she went as far as she could in pretty much saying, I'd love to come home. And we'd love her to come home, and she should come home because we can restore her Polish heritage, bring back that pride and confidence she had. What's happened to her is a crime against humanity. And whilst our case is not like for like with other cases, we've discovered some very disturbing trends. On another matter, I wrote to Adam Lloyd, told him what I thought of him in terms of his actions and his colleagues. both my wife and I remain quite ill after the police state terror that he fronted up with his colleagues, coming into the house, seizing devices, my mind stealing, and conducting a search on a pretext that there would be spray paint here, or maybe spray paint here, for this phony vandalism allegation that they threw at me. We now know that they don't even believe that's true. There's a coordinated action between South Tyneside Council and Rachel Hudson. They want to see what's on my devices because they now realise that we're going to publish. We have been, for some years now, researching both the FCA and in the FCA, sorry, in terms of we were looking at that because we were concerned about how they were um, elevating their own um, reputation, the protection of their own reputation over the victims of financial scandal, in this case, Wealth Tech, and to a certain degree as well, the Woodford as well. Why that was happening, what the causes were. It's also concerned that we've been analysing the machinations of the family court, particularly Rachel Hudson. She isn't the only one, but so she's clearly very concerned. So they seized the devices. They want to see the extent of the material that we have. But the irony is, it isn't even on them, because I don't collate most of it. I point the finger and say, "Look here, look there. This is where we'll find it," but I don't actually collate it. So I think they will use that to hold on for the devices for longer than they need, because they want to put a lot of physical and mental pressure on my wife and I for standing up to Rachel Hudson and South Tyneside Council for, in our particular instance, um, the emotional sterilisation, the erasure of our younger daughters' Polish culture to manufacture her into a cash generative asset. And that is what we're seeing. And I have explained to him, I had to, when I was in custody, I was assaulted by him. When he dragged me out of the property, they put handcuffs on. I couldn't even put my shoes on. There was no need for that type of aggression. They could have made their point a lot more reasonably, and I'd have gone in good faith instead of just forcing a barging your way into the property. I had to, because the cuffs were on too tight. I was also very concerned to check on the welfare of my wife, who was highly distressed when I was dragged out of the property. They When I got to the police station at Forth Banks, I had to self-administer first aid in the cell with intermittent lukewarm water for some time before I was offered any assistance. So because of this brutality, I don't consider myself safe going to that building. So I've explained to Lloyd that I will not be attending the police station in February 26 because I don't feel I'm safe to do so. I believe my physical and mental well-being will be placed at considerable risk if I do. The other aspect is these allegations. Sorry, we now know what they're about. They were they were disingenuous in how they put them to me. They know I was nowhere near anybody's cars or property. You can see my videos on this channel and the other channel that they froze me out from. I'm against violence and the destruction of private property. I just simply do not believe in it. So that's where we are with that. For my own safety and the fact that they have not acted in good faith and they have used pretext to place my wife and I under huge physical and mental stress, I shall not attend. They can come to me and say that give me assurances and I'll reconsider. But on the current gauge of their behaviour, I would be too much at risk. Now, the other aspect of it is clearly, given what we've had to go through, my wife and I do experience a lot of trauma, and some of the relief we get, mine is through work, trying to actually do some good in the financial services industry if I can, rather than aspects like this wicked trade with children traded with private equity, of which already pension funds, charities, endowments are already exposed to it. So institutional investors are already exposed to this, and will go into it. And plans for it to increase and grow, both sides, the long-term care order and private equity wanting these government-backed cash flows. Retail investors will also be exposed to it via their defined contribution pension schemes and other similar investment schemes. But that said, I'm trying to do some good in fight. That brings me some relief, keeping my brain occupied. So taking away my work devices, they know that that's putting immense pressure on me. And likewise, my wife takes pleasure out of editing. She's very, very good at it, brings us some relief. And they've taken her device. I've never even touched it, never mind logged onto it. They know this. They would be able to determine that very easily, but they want to do this harm to us, so they'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing because we dared to challenge why, for instance, someone's Polish heritage was destroyed, why they didn't listen to her. So that they're very good at saying that they'll listen to the child's wishes, but they didn't listen when our daughter was saying after 6 months she still wanted to come home. That's a wrong answer. It doesn't fit the narrative. So you drill and drill and drill and drill and psychologically and mentally abuse a young girl to try to get the answer you want. It's a deplorable trade, a deplorable trade. So that's why standing up to these things. She actually said to us at meetings, and that's one of the reasons why Polish interpreters were treated so badly. I'm incredibly embarrassed because they kept saying to us, well, why are you here? The girl wants to come back. They've got a great relationship. They didn't like that, so Polish interpreters were treated very badly. Meetings cancelled, interpreter bookings strangely not taking place, being cancelled at short notice. We're going to need a full audit of that because there's some very, very serious issues there. And she kept saying to us as well, nobody listens to me. I said I want more time. I said I want to come home. She was saying this on meetings, but it doesn't fit the script. So you have to psychologically abuse the child to ram them into this wicked business model. There's no place for things like this in the financial services sector. The family court shouldn't function like that. The family court is out of control. It's abusing behind closed doors to oversee wicked acts. It's unnecessarily adversarial, even at the marriage level, feeding lawyers' wishes, not looking at reconciliation. It's not always possible to reconcile, but that should at least be your starting point. Can we fix this rather than tear it apart and make a fortune out of doing so? Pitching people against each other, not trying to bring them together. It's lost control, very much needs reform. And I think the raid gangs inquiries or investigations, certainly the Rupert Lowe one, might just be enough to bring the family court into the spotlight in terms of it needs a fundamental rethink. And we think that publishing our material as well shows really how they work, the abuses that took place, falsification of evidence, and so on. This is an important role, we hope, as well. So there we are. My very best wishes to all those families that have been taken apart as children who can't wish their parents and their parents not wish them happy Christmas on Christmas Day. And let's hope we get to a point in the future where this system that has no place in the financial services sector is fundamentally reconsidered and redesigned. And these abuses removed. Let's hope also in financial services we would get to a stage where a regulator doesn't hide behind prejudice to elevate its own preservation of reputation over that of the victims of financial scandals, inventing narrative to try to make it look like they acted expediently. Let's hope governments have the both this one and the previous government were the same, have the courage if they're going to give the regulator a free pass in the pursuit of growth in the financial services sector and how that growth can help the economy. Just tell them the truth that for this growth objective, we are sidelining your interests because you're only a fairly small part of the financial services industry. We've decided to go for growth and sacrifice you on the altar of the secondary objective. Tell people the truth. If you're going to do it, don't try to create phony narrative. Just tell them the truth. Well, I also wish the Americans and Trump the very best in trying to secure a peace in Ukraine. Some of it looks interesting. The demilitarized zone that could also be an economic free trade zone. Hopefully, the people can share in the prosperity of redevelopment. Hopefully, there's not too much corruption either, which is a big concern on all sides. And hopefully that's a way forward. And I hope the UK and France and Germany in particular don't try to keep scuppering these talks and prolong this crisis, this war. We want to see an end to the loss of lives, and we just hope that they don't scupper Trump's efforts like they scuppered the efforts of the Turkish early into the conflict, which has led to massive loss of life and huge amount of money being lost as well. So I really hope Trump succeeds, although I've mixed things on Trump because I'm very concerned what he's doing in Venezuela in terms of trying to force regime change and access to their oil reserves. Not that I support Maduro, but it's a matter for the Venezuelans to decide, not the Americans. Have a happy Christmas, and especially all those children who have been separated from their parents. Take care. Bye.